So that's the challenge that I'm coming up with now. And I know, like, if you can visualize this, you ready? So you're talking about legacy and your curiosity on how people are preparing themselves in their mid to late 40s and what's happening. So I sold my company in June of last year, and it was one of the most emotional situations I've ever gone through. Aside from the divorces, aside from the narcissistic relationship, aside from all the fucking bullshit that I've done to myself, this was something that I was like, oh my God, she's ripping my baby away from me. That's how I felt. And I still have, there's anger.
Hi, and welcome to The Weekly Parent, a podcast for people who Google everything, overthink most things, and occasionally spiral, wondering if they're totally screwing it all up. I'm your host, Dr. Kaya Duffy. Look, I'm not here to hand out gold stars or add one more item to your to-do list. Here at The Weekly Parent, we ask real questions of real people who, frankly, know more than we do and try to cut through the noise, filter the advice, and figure out what actually works. Let's dive in. Good afternoon. Listen, before we dive in, I want you to know that this conversation with Amanda Greaves is one of those rare conversations that will linger. Today, we talk about aging, identity, ambition, legacy, and what it really means to pause, recalibrate, and then keep going. Amanda and I get super honest about parenting middle schoolers, navigating our own very personal, very real health shifts, and building something that matters while also learning to do the very hard work of letting go. If you're in a season of reevaluation yourself, or just craving a reminder that you are not alone on the path to reinvention, then I think you'll really enjoy this episode. Let's get into it. My God, tell me.
You start first. You go first.
Oh my gosh, where do we begin? Well, let me start with something personal because that's just easier, and then we can get into business stuff. So I turned 46 in February, and fantastic, love it, looks great on me. Yeah, although I'm looking at like all these crow's feet that I see through my glasses.
It gets better. I'm 49 in this past February, so yep.
Okay, well, about a week before my birthday, I thought I had pulled a muscle. I've been doing this weightlifting, and I thought I pulled a muscle in my bicep, and I was like, well, that kind of hurts. And it didn't go away. And then it kind of moved around my arm a little bit for a few days, and I thought, well, that's odd. And I exercised for a little bit, but then I was like, gosh, it hurts when I do that. So I stopped. And then I noticed a few days later that my arm was a little bit swollen. Like I'm looking at my wrist, and I'm like, my left arm is swollen a little bit. And I had woken up one day and it kind of felt numb, but it went away. Like I had laid on it, like I felt fallen asleep. But it went away as soon as I got up. And so I kind of just proceeded for, I don't know,
as you do,
several days. Like, okay, it's kind of changing and it's not interfering, but it was an ache. It was a constant ache and it was always there. So then after about a week, I noticed that I was seeing veins appear in my upper arm that were not normal for that side of my arm and not what I had on my right side. And I'm right hand dominant. So I was like, okay, I should probably go see somebody. And I went to a quick care and I explained the whole thing. They thought that it was maybe a swollen lymph node that was causing lymph to collect and not drain. And so she's like, I'm gonna send you to a general surgeon just so they can check it out and make sure that there's nothing wrong. And I thought, okay. The next day was my birthday, and she called me 4:00 in the afternoon on my birthday, and she's like, I'm so sorry. I can't get out of my head that this could be something worse, and I think you need to go to the emergency room right now. And so I did, and I had an ultrasound, and I had a deep vein thrombosis in my subclavian vein. So I had a blood clot in my subclavian vein, which is the vein that runs out of your neck and into your arm. And they sat me down in the emergency room and they're like, okay, so you have a blood clot. We're going to put you on an anticoagulant. Do you have any questions? And I was like, I have all of them.
You mean
I have
like
all of the questions.
Blood clots that can kill you type blood clot.
Blood clot that can kill you type blood clot. That's what I thought. Turns out it is not a blood clot that will kill me. So it was in my vein. Clots in your veins get cleared into your lungs. And so and because it's in my arm, it's so tiny, wouldn't no impact. I mean, not no impact, but our body is clearing clots all the time. So, but do I have a blood clot? I don't have any of the symptoms or any of the causes of a blood clot. I
Right.
haven't been, on long plane rides. I don't have history of it. We did all the testing. I don't have any kind of genetic
Mm-hmm.
anything that would cause this. Turns out I have something called thoracic outlet syndrome, which is a narrowing of the thoracic space in my neck right here. And so I'm coming to Boston June
Yes.
3rd,
When?
June 3rd.
Write it down.
Okay, but to have surgery. I'm going to Mass General and they are removing a rib. Yeah. They are removing the scalene muscle inside there and something called a neuroplasty, which has to do with my nerves, in order to make space so that I stop. Every time I lift my arm overhead, it closes off the vein and the artery and it pinches the nerve. And it caused this blood clot. And yeah, so like that's happening. And I thought, oh, I'll take a couple of weeks off to recover and then I'll come back into work, so sort of remotely and just kind of slow. And my HR person was like, "Yeah, that sounds good. I think you should apply for FMLA just so that we have it all in place and it's
Yep.
all set." And I was like, "Okay." Send the note off to the surgeon at Mass Gen and they write back and they're like, "Absolutely, we do this all the time. So we're putting on your document 3 months of recovery." And I was like,
3 months.
3 months of recovery. They're like, "It's probably going to go faster," but that's what they put on my I was like, "Okay. Welcome to after 45." Like
Have you started perimenopause yet?
I don't.
Oh, you should be ready for that when it starts to happen then. You'll be all ready to roll.
All the fun. I mean, it's funny. Perimenopause is showing up everywhere in my social feeds
Mm-hmm.
because surely I'm clicking and like curious enough that I'm pausing on it. But I don't know what to look for. You got to tell me.
Oh, God. Well, first of all, how long are you planning? Like, how long you're showing? Okay, June 3rd. Are you coming before? Is your husband coming with you? Like,
Yeah,
what's
whole
all that?
family. Yeah, whole family. Yeah, my appointment with the surgeon, my first appointment with the surgeon is on the 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
My surgery is the morning of the 3rd. I will
Okay.
probably be in the hospital until the 6th and then discharged. And then I will be recovering for that month. We'll spend the month of June at my parents' house in Maine.
Okay.
My
Where are
husband,
they in Maine?
southern Maine, near Portland.
What's the name of the town?
They live in Standish.
Standish. Okay.
Yeah, it's about 20 minutes west.
I know where
My
that is.
Basically, yeah. My Tim, my husband, is going to Tanzania for 2 weeks at the end of June. So
How
the kids
convenient.
and I will be with my parents, and it will be fantastic.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to find some time and I'm going to come up and I'm going to come visit you because Standish is probably, I don't know, an hour from me.
Really,
Hour, maybe an hour and 20 at the most. Yeah.
I would love to see you in real
Just,
life.
and I know, right? And to come and, no expectations except for just hanging out and talking,
Perfect.
drinking tea, and
Love it.
eating blueberry muffins.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So that's personal. That's what that just like threw me, totally threw
It
me.
would have thrown me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that
Yeah.
that that would have thrown me a bit.
But
Well,
I'm going to get through it.
you are going
We'll
to get through it.
take it as it comes.
Yeah, you're going to do great.
Yeah.
You're going to do great.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, because I don't follow anybody on doing anything, have you published your book? Is your book?
No,
No.
no book writing. No, that's kind of been on hold. I've been doing a whole lot more of social media and trying to record now as part of, so
Yeah,
I
tell
have,
me what's happening with this.
yeah, so I have a monthly newsletter. No, weekly newsletter. We've been writing this newsletter for a year.
Yeah. I remember you talking about this.
Yeah. It's called The Weekly Parent.
Yep.
And it is like a recap of the last week's news. So usually there's one sort of in-depth news story. This week we're talking about all the pediatric deaths from flu. This is the most we've had in too long. I mean, a long time, but they're creeping up. So we're writing about, there's some headline story that we cover, and then there's several other sections where we write about some of it's fun, some of it's tips for parents. I write the we call it bites, but it's like a feeding section.
Mm-hmm.
And so often I am repurposing or linking to any social or the blog post that I'm doing,
Yep.
BBG, the
Yep.
blog post on my own website. But oftentimes it's other information or stuff that I found that is relevant for parents. And then we provide information about any kind of recalls that are critical. There's usually something
Got it.
fun that's a part of that. But that goes out every week, every Tuesday.
Yep.
And as a part of that, so I have been continuing to
That takes
try
up
to,
time.
what?
It takes time to put that stuff together.
It does take time. I've
Like,
got a great, it's not just me. I've got a great team that's
yeah,
working on that, but it does take a lot of time. I mean, just finding the articles. We have like 16 Slack channels, right, for potential content that just,
yeah.
we track. So I'm doing that. And as part of that, I've been thinking about for a while, some of it comes from all of the content we curate for parents. Some of it comes from me personally trying to figure out what the fuck I want to do when I grow up.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I really don't know. And I get so curious about things and I try and I dabble in this and then this piques my interest and I want to try that. All of the work with BBG and trying to be an expert, I've had a few speaking opportunities,
Hmm.
but I'm not yet, I don't have a course that, we had talked about developing a course, you and
I
I
don't
like
have one
working
yet
on
either.
something. Have not done that. Trying to like, what is it I really would do? Book maybe at some point, but like I am not known by anybody really yet. And so, but I'm realizing as I've, turned past mid 40s, I'm starting to think about all of the two things. One, I feel like I'm still basically 20. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, college wasn't that long ago.
Right.
And I feel like I'm staring death in the face sometimes. Like I can hold those two things at the same time. And I'm also having this realization like I have a life right now based on decisions that I've made. And there are not other paths that are open to me. Like all of those things I might have thought, a lot of those doors have closed. And that's okay. I love what I'm doing. And yet I am thinking a lot these days about my legacy and like what are people going to remember about me and what am I leaving behind at the end of all of this.
Yeah.
So all of that has left me thinking I want to start talking to other people
Yeah.
about this. How have they made decisions? How do they think about this? Partly because I am selfish and I want to hear from them myself. And then I thought, well, I should share this with other people.
Yeah.
And so that has led to that, in addition to feeling like I am about to face a month of not being able to do anything but maybe talk, and not a whole lot of typing is
Yeah.
going to be going on, And so maybe I can use that as an opportunity to start talking to folks and
So
just,
yeah. So you're looking at this as interviews, but are you thinking that you may accumulate these and punch them out as like
yeah. So
your
turn
own
this into
podcast?
a real podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm collecting them for that. I also, I have all of these videos that I've made over the last year now of me personally. And so I could pull the audio off of those and have some solo
Hmm.
episodes specifically too. But yeah, a lot of these interviews, I really want a chance to hear from people and to share those stories and amplify them. And it feels a little convoluted and complicated with the parenting angle because not everybody's going to be a parent. But as a mom and as a woman who is facing this point in my life, I feel like, what, 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 where am I? What do I have to show? And what do I want these next few years to be like?
Yeah. Yeah. It-
And you have just written a book about this. I
No,
mean, sort of,
it's interesting, Kaya. Like, I haven't written a book about this. And when I look at my book, I think to myself, I am not the same person I was when that book was published a year and
Really?
a half ago. Oh my God, no. Like, I just had a memory come up, like a Google photo memory come up, and it was me in a hotel bed with shit in my nose. Not a hotel bed, a hospital bed with the things in my nose. And I was like, and so 2 years ago, I'd started taking, now this is just a piggyback on your conversation, on what your story is right now. I started taking these new supplements. And apparently there were hormones in those supplements. And it screwed me up where I was just gaining weight. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, significant, not significant, but like it was like 5 pounds within a month, like 5 solid pounds, not just water weight or whatever. And then I skipped my period for my 47th birthday. And I was like, no. And I kept gaining the weight. And so then I got off of I said, it's the fucking supplements. Then I dove in and I started reading what it was. And I'm like, oh, there's testosterone in here. There's this in here. Da, da, da. And so I got off the supplements and then I started getting my period constantly. And there was like 3 weeks where I'm like, I'm dying. Right. And my doctor's like, my OBGYN, she's a nurse practitioner. She was away. And so I went in and saw the new doctor who I had never met, this old white-haired man. He was an asshole. And I said, don't tell me I'm supposed to be taking any more hormones so I can fix this. And he said, here's a prescription. I said, what is it? He said, there's hormones. And I threw it back at him. And I said, I'll figure this out on my own. So I started going to acupuncture. My lady, Patrice, she ended up getting back in touch with me after when she got back from her trip. And I had a DNC 2 years ago because I was like, I needed, like, I was bleeding out. Like, I couldn't do Pilates, just like all, like, I'm like, I can't jump because I don't know what's going to happen. And
Amanda.
I mean, women have DNCs all the time, but it was like, I've never had kids. So like they couldn't with just a regular exam go in and understand because they found that I had small endometriomas and they had to like, and they were just kind of screwing things up. But because my cervix never expanded to have children, it was so tight, they couldn't get in there to understand what was really going on. So they had to do the whole thing. Kaya, this this experience that I went through, it's going to end up on stage one day when I'm talking to a group of women and we're talking about hormones and all the things. I now think I know what it feels like to go through child labor, even though I've never had children, because the surgeon was like, you have to take this 2 hours before you come to the hospital. It should loosen your cervix. Well, it was like an abortion pill.
Oh, of course.
And I mean, I didn't know, right? So my mom's with me, thank God. And I'm take it at like 7:10. We're driving down the street. We get to the other end when I'm about to turn, and it's like 7:18. And I was like, so I'm driving on the highway, and I remember looking at the clock every time 7:22, and I was like, Mom, I really don't feel good, trying to drive. And like 7:26, I was like, I can't take it anymore. And I literally was like, oh my God. I pulled off of 95, off of the highway, parked on somebody's front lawn, jumped out of the car, and shit in their front yard. Pulled my pants down. It hurt so much. My dog's in the back seat because I was like, this is going to be easy.
It's
already
no big deal.
down by the water. So I shit in somebody's front yard, and my mom's like rolling the window down. What are you doing? I'm like, I need paper towels.
My
So she brings me paper towels. I waddle back to the car, and then I have another convulsion, and I'm like, you have to drive fast. And like, now I'm turning into this devil, right? Like, I'm like, and I'm sitting in the front seat. Not really. Backwards, holding on to the chair because thankfully I have like the WeatherTech mats. I thought I was going to shit myself again. I'm naked from the waist down with my socks on. I was throwing my sneakers into the back seat. I'm thinking I'm going to poop again on the floor of the passenger seat. And I'm like, Mom, you have to drive faster. She's like, baby, I'm going as fast as I can. I'm like, 85 is not fast enough. Like, just like losing my mind.
my God.
And yeah, so then I was like, I'm calling the hospital. I was like, I'm on my way. You have to make sure that there's room out front. They're like, you need to go to the emergency room. I'm like, I have an appointment at 9. You're letting me in early. And I literally I'm like, hurry up, run. I'm sitting. I'm like, I don't have any pants on. Give me a blanket. They like put me in a wheelchair. They wheel me up the thing. And I'm like banging on the door to the bathroom. I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. You need to let me in. Then some person comes out of the bathroom and they were like, what the fuck? And I went in and I was like, oh my God, this hurts so much. So they put me on a stretcher. They bring me in. They give me freaking morphine. So then by the time I'm relaxed, they're like, is there any way that you could be pregnant? And I was like, I had sex 2 weeks ago. I don't know. I haven't got my period. Sex in 6 months. They're like, you need to pee in this cup. I'm like, I can't pee. I haven't been able to drink water for 12 hours. Like, just like screaming at them. And they were like, so this lady comes in with like this needle. I'm like, what's that for? And she's like, well, if you can't pee in the cup, I need to take your blood. I'm like, that costs more money. Give me the fucking cup.
I love that is a consideration we have to have at this moment, right?
It's morphine, right? Like I'm having contractions with no baby, and I'm like, no, I don't want to pay for that. Give me the cup. But I mean, it was just, I think about it now and it's fucking funny, but like now I'm in the throes of perimenopause. I go to my acupuncturist like once every 3 to 4 weeks, just to balance things out. And I'm not taking supplements, and the weight gain is real. And it's not like a lot, but it's just, I really have to pay more attention to how my metabolism is and is not working. Brain fog is like nothing I've ever had in my entire life. And I just went and got a full blood panel done to understand, like, why am I falling asleep at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? What is happening? Like, I'm healthy. You know, I look at all my blood, my cholesterol's up a little bit, but other than that, like, I can't manage more than a 2 or 3 hour meeting in a 45-minute drive because then I'm asleep. It's crazy. So there's that.
God.
And
Does it,
it
yeah, does it gonna end? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. But the thing that concerns me the most is that it's like, so I just went from, what is it, pro down to premier. So now for BBG, I'm not doing like all the extra calls with Larissa and all that. I'm doing like the once a month you can do the live
mhm.
virtual one. Um, because I still find so much incredible value in it. But what's been happening with me over the last few months, Kaya, is that I have not been able to really sink my teeth into doing like a proper marketing strategy and going
Mm.
out and finding additional clients. And like, you know, I've come across a couple speaking engagements, which is awesome. I just did one this weekend for You've heard of Toastmasters.
Yeah, sure.
So I just did one for our district conference. And with all due respect to our district, it was a fucking circus. The AV was like Friday night I was there and I'm like, this is a joke. All the microphones were crackly, like they were like laughing about things, and they were just some of the people were just incredibly unprofessional. I had a 45-minute time slot on Saturday afternoon and it got pushed back because somebody was yapping. And then the guy totally butchered my introduction because without being sounding rude or mean, I don't think he could read very well.
Wow.
He was a pretty good speaker, but he couldn't read very well. You know, things like taking the initiative, it was talking the international. And so what he was saying had nothing to do with what my bio was. So there was that. And then I'm like, all right, give me the 15 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go, so I can manage my 45-minute session.
Yeah.
I was,
That's a
yeah,
good long talk.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was 15 minutes into it and she held up the 15-minute card and I was like, what? So she paid attention to the clock on the wall as far as the schedule was concerned, but she didn't take into consideration that we were already 15 minutes behind because of the people in front of me. And then she cut me off 2 minutes early. So I was bullshit, right? But but I'm like, well, I guess if something like that's going to happen, this is the best platform for it because it is such a disaster in here.
Yeah.
And the people in
You
here,
certainly weren't the only one affected by it
I
being
wasn't,
poorly
but
run and
I was affected the most. People were like, "Why did you get cut so short?" And your talk was actually better than some of the other people that were up here. Like, we wanted to hear more, and I'm like, I don't even know. So I I just got off a call with a woman. So I did a 90-minute talk out in Las Vegas back in
okay.
February, which was awesome.
What was that that
So
venue?
the International Builders Show is it happens out in Las Vegas. It goes between Las Vegas and Orlando, and there's 80,000 people that attend this event. And part of it is KBIS, which is the Kitchen and Bath International Show. And I applied because, me being a designer, I was like, I'll just apply, you know, I can go in and do this. And I got called in to do one of the talks, and the feedback was phenomenal. I had the full 90-minute session. I
Amazing.
created this framework called design. So when I did the membership showcase down in
Yes.
Nashville
In
back in
Nashville?
November, one of the things that Rory said to me was, you got to get your own content, right? Because I had used the FEAR acronym. Pardon me. And so I developed this design acronym, this design framework, which is all about figuring out and learning how to be an exceptional communicator, understanding yourself, understanding others, adapting and adjusting so you can get on the same page. And It went really, really well. I was really excited. I forgot to record it,
Oh,
but of course I recorded this one and it was like a
yeah.
fraction of the time and a disaster, but it'll iron itself out at some point in time.
Clips are perfect. Yeah, that's all you need.
And and I joined NSA, so the National Speakers Association.
Okay.
And there's been a few people that I've met within that I had a conversation with a guy one day and he's like, yeah, he's like, I've been doing these speeches, but now I'm getting hired for corporate. I said, explain that to me. He's
Mm-hmm.
doing more corporate trainings. And so I literally, Kaya, I'll get up in the morning and who knows what I've been doing, but I'm really busy. I have a lot of stuff going on, like what do I have to show for it? I'm not 100% certain, but it's okay. And I'm real, like when I look at my calendar, sometimes I've got an hour with somebody here, an hour with somebody here, an hour here, an hour here, another hour here. And I'm all over the place. And some of them are coaching clients, some of them are connections, some of them are my coach or my
Mm-hmm.
therapist or whatever it may be. And I don't like, I love connecting with you, but I don't want to function that way. And I'm finding that I function, give me 6 hours, 3 days in a row to work on one individual
Mm.
project, and I will be an amazing presenter on a Thursday, right? Give me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 6 to 8 hours each time. Thursday is going to be the rock star day. Take Friday off, back up, do it again.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm figuring, whether it's corporate workshops or trainings, keynote speeches, breakout sessions that I have an opportunity to sell the corporate trainings or sell things. I'm starting to understand what it is that I want to do more.
So some of it is content you're talking about, like figuring out how to take what you have created and design it in a way that it becomes deliverable in all of these different formats. It sounds though like some of it too is about actually how you structure your time. And I
Yeah.
think when you're, when we have something that's so nebulous,
Mhm.
and it could be everything or it could be nothing, it could be this big, it could be, tiny. It's really hard to just to and for me too, I think, to realize like how can I make the most of my time so that I'm actually producing something. And for
Yeah.
me too, I get so I'll get caught up in Canva making a cover for a lead magnet or a short video that's
Not even
going on
doing
Insta.
that, but I'm not even doing that stuff right now.
Well, then I'm like, oh, maybe I should do this and maybe I should do that. And like all the important things, like the researching, like the connecting, like you're doing, like the researching
I'm not.
speakers associations. And I just like, holy crap.
Yeah, it's not like I look at it, I'm like, I'm shooting myself to death, right? Like I should
Yeah.
be doing this. I should have had that
Oh,
organized. I should have had this done by now. And it's not happening. I, uh, the theories and the understandings, they're so forward in my brain, It's like, well, yeah, you can do that after you get home from that. I'm like, no, I'm tired. I'm going to take a nap and then I'm going to
yeah.
eat and then I'm done,
Yeah.
My brain's not, but then I've got all this other stuff that I need to take care of. And it's just finding my groove. And
Yeah.
not only that, but to go back to what we were talking about 10 minutes ago, finding my groove with this new level of energy that is not what I'm used to when I was 35 years old starting my first company.
Yeah. I
I'm
know.
49 years old and my body is changing in real time. My brain is changing. Like the gray matter in there, it's changing in real time. And I am influenced by everything. And I have not been able to figure out how to filter that influence.
Say more about that. What do you mean influenced by everything? Like it's coming, like you're receiving information and not sure how, like
Does it apply
what,
to me? Should I
yeah,
jump on the train? Is
yeah,
this something that I should be a part of? Like I signed up for an Amy Porterfield course back in October and because I was convinced I was going to get my course launched and locked and loaded and launched and all the things by January. And I think January 5th, I took the book and put it in the fucking cabinet. I didn't get to it. I took December off and I cooked through the month of December. I made food and I don't know, I cleaned my house and did like whatever I needed to do because I hadn't gotten grounded yet. And now I'm feeling much more grounded because I do know I want to go after that corporate element. But the speaker at this past weekend's, the primary speaker, the keynote, his name's Craig Valentine.
Mm-hmm.
He was and he's freaking capitalizing on this like you wouldn't believe. The 1999 world champion public speaker.
Wow.
He was in
Still claim
Toastmasters
to
for
fame.
two
Yeah.
fucking years. But he's good. Like, so good. And so while he was doing his keynote, I was adding phrases of his into mine. And so when I got up the next day, I'd talked to him that evening. He sat right in the front. And so when I was up there the next day, I said, yeah, you all remember Craig's speech from last night. It was amazing. He was talking about never giving up on your dreams. But here's a dream that I didn't give up on, I outgrew. And it was about selling my company. And he was like, and then the following day, he did the closing keynote. And one of the things that I had talked about was things happening for us, not to us,
Mm-hmm. I
not
love that line.
and all of that. And again, I want to find my own, but so in his closing speech, he said, and Amanda, he said, there it is. He said, there are so many people that if they're not willing to change, they're willing to blame others for everything that's going wrong. He said, however, and he looked right at me, he said, however, Amanda, if we can learn that things happen for us, not to us, it changes that game altogether. And I was like, yes. And, and but here he is offering offering a course on how to be a great speaking coach and offering a course on how to do this. And I'm like, he's like, it's only $24.95 and there's 14 sessions. I'm like, okay, that's less than $200 an hour. This would be great in my brain. And I'm like, every time I see somebody that I love, I want to jump on their train. I want to do what they're doing. I want to incorporate what it is that they're saying into what it is I'm saying. And I'm like, where's my stuff?
I totally get that.
You
Where
know,
is my voice? Where is my
it's
creative muse?
why
Where
am I
is
taking it
my
from other
outlet?
people? Why am I stealing
Yeah.
other people's stuff all the time and just repackaging it and throwing it out there as my own? So that's the challenge that I'm coming up with now. And I know, like, if you can visualize this, you ready? So you're talking about legacy and your curiosity on how people are preparing themselves in their mid to late 40s and what's happening. So I sold my company in June of last year, and it was one of the most emotional situations I've ever gone through. Aside from the divorces, aside from the narcissistic relationship, aside from all the fucking bullshit that I've done to myself, this was something that I was like, oh my God, she's ripping my baby away from me. That's how I felt. And I still there's anger. And I started seeing my therapist again because I'm like, I gotta work through this anger. I wake up with it now for some reason. And so there's anger there, but I've completely shifted everything in my life, right? Like I'm not doing design anymore because quite honestly, I can't be bothered by it. And I'm doing a couple small projects, one for my family, one for a friend. I'm consulting with the woman who bought my company on a couple projects. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good at it. Great. I'm not. Can't you figure this out for yourself? Like, what do
Yeah.
you
Yeah. So it is a yes, I will help and I will support, but it is not filling you the way that it used to.
No,
Yeah.
and just the figuring out like I want to be able to I want to be able to cast a broad net, just like any other keynote speaker, whether it's 10, 100, or 1,000 people, I want to cast that net. I want to hit that note of inspiration and instill hope in people with my personal and professional stories. I want to have my design framework, which I'm very proud of, and I am evolving over time. I look at it this way. I have another 4 years and 2 months of owners financing payments coming to me from the purchase of my company. And I have this little 4-seater plane with the propellers. The propellers are going, right? But it's over here. You can only see like one propeller, but the propellers are going and the plane's ready to go. Ready, 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 ready. And here I am meticulously taking each brick and laying it down and then taking the next brick. And in every single brick is individual conversations and what's the D stand for in the design acronym, and getting that marketing strategy started, figuring out and all I can do right now for myself. What is happening to my computer?
I can still see you. There's no,
Now the Adobe decides to turn itself on
of course.
in a while. It's I know I said when I sold the company, I'm giving myself 2 years. Well, now I have another year. I need this runway to be laid down and grouted and solid and confirmed enough. So this plane that's ready to roll, when it's ready to roll, it can go. And that, like, I can see it happening. And what my biggest thing right now is giving myself grace and finding the patience to just stay the line, and even if I don't know what this fucking course is, keep going.
Yeah.
And it's not straight. It's this. I might do one brick over here and then another one over here and meet someone, and then and I'm like,
100%.
oh, squirrel. And I go over here and then I come back and I start
Yep.
laying the back down again.
Get a new brick. Yeah. God, absolutely. So you feel like the course is the direction that that is
Navigating
the
my own
logical.
course. Yeah. Yeah. And it's, but it's through the woods and there's a lot of trees in the way, right? So it's not straight, and I'm chopping the shit down as I go along and laying the bricks I'm paving my own yellow brick road through Oz. But
Have you written more? I mean, all of these talks that you're doing and the speaking that you've been doing, and I feel like maybe having a book like as a starting place, you have so much more content that you can pull from. Do you feel like you have written all of the content that would become a course? Like I went through.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I imagine you have. Yeah,
Without any doubt. So I
yeah.
did back in September, I did a last 100 days workshop. And after the workshop, I did, what was it, every week? Every other week till the end of the year. Yeah, every other week to the end of the year. I did masterminds. And there were 3 women that joined.
Okay.
There was like 6 people in the workshop, but there were 3 women that joined and stayed in it the whole time. And through that, I created a ton of content, stuff that would last the workshop itself was 4 hours and I pushed through some of it. And then from there, that was September. That was 6 months ago. Like what I've created since then is quadruple that based on the framework that I've created. And like these were ideas that I was on the phone with my friend David, who I met in 2022. And he's telling me all about his career challenges and how he's writing another book and all these things. And all of a sudden we were on the phone. I was like, I should come up with an acronym. Just be as simple as design build. And all of a sudden I was like, and all these ideas started going. And then next thing I know, I'm on chat and I'm figuring it all out. And it's, that's why I'm saying the more space and grace I can give myself, the more my nervous system is actually saying, thank you, Amanda, for not pushing. Because when I step back, that's when the ideas have the ability to step towards me. And I'm like, oh, look at
It's
you.
such a good reminder. I know this. I do not ever have enough space in my day
Yeah.
for things to just come. For those ideas that are in pieces or are way back in the recesses. There are just far too many things that are demanding immediate attention and time that they don't come. And if I ever could just step away, I mean, I think what a gift that you have this time. I also imagine it being super stressful.
It is.
Like
there's certain aspects where I'm like, all right,
So-
well, yeah, I need that project right now because
Right.
what I'm getting paid is not, it's just enough to give me the opportunity to pay my mortgage, to live, right? Like I need to start banking more projects so I can
yeah,
not feel like this.
yeah. Absolutely. Which is its own source of stress. And of course, then that like takes up more brain space and then you're not able to
Which I
do
try,
all the
yeah.
things. Yeah. Have you been paid for any of your speaking yet? Oh, yeah.
That's my goal. By the end of this year, I want to be able to get paid for my speaking or at the very bare minimum, have somebody pay for my hotel and all of my accommodations and all of those things. But honestly, no, I want to get paid for my speaking. And like you said, I have to do all of it, right? Like I've got to take those videos and put them back together. And I'm not a big app person. Like the more apps there are, the more aggravated I get. But I don't have the financial wherewithal to hire somebody to say, here's a half a dozen videos. Can you put them together for me? But then I'm like, that's not in my wheelhouse. It's going to take me a week.
Yeah, I know exactly.
And so it's this catch 22. Um, like I got to take the content. Yeah, it's a catch 22. I got to push and pull these things together, but I will get paid by the end of the year, and that's going to be a huge thing. Here's the one thing that I've started to do differently, and I'm not 100% certain what the impetus was, but like in February, March, I was like, I don't think I want to drink that much anymore.
Mm.
And so I pushed through March, and then I was like, all right, well, I'm going out to dinner with my friend in Boston on March 30th. So I'll have some wine with her then. And I had some wine with her then. And I was like, I'm done April 1st. I went, whoop, didn't drink during April, had a colonoscopy May 1st. That was a fucking experience. I woke up towards the end. You've never had one, have you?
I haven't had one yet. It's
Oh,
coming.
God.
I'm waiting for them to
Talk
schedule.
to your older friends. Ask them how their colonoscopy prep went.
Oh, I know. My husband has. My best friend loves it. She's like, cleans me out.
I
I get the
love the
best
prep.
nap of my life.
I woke up towards the end of it and they had to reposition me and I was like, ow, it hurts. Like I felt the fucking thing up
Oh,
and around
God.
and I'm like, ow, it hurts. It hurts. They're like, we're almost done. I'm like, what the fuck? It hurt. Like, and I had told them, I don't want to know anything. I want to be out. You got to
Yeah.
give me extra. My body is really good with drugs. So you got to give me extra. And then I
And you
could
woke
feel
up
them.
during it?
I woke up during it and they're like, we're almost done. I'm like, but it hurts. And they're literally repositioning me, pushing on my stomach. Cause that's now I did my homework and that's what they do to like 60% just because of the way that our insides are. But I've got this scope thing that's like,
Yeah.
here's the end of it. Here's
Yeah.
the other end that's inside. And I could literally at the end of it, feel it come out.
Oh, my.
And I got home and like that night I was like,
It's so
it
violating.
was terrible. That was Thursday, and then I went and did my talk on Saturday. But
My gosh.
it's
Violating in a whole other way. Yeah.
been a rough week. People are like, "How was your week?" And I'm like, I really don't want to
I've
talk
had better.
about it.
Yeah. You know what? We're just, yeah. Thank you, but no thanks.
But I lost my train
Not
of
drinking. Not
thought.
drinking is amazing.
So I took the month of April off, and I felt much better. And then Saturday night, I was like, "All right, I'm going to look at the wins." Right? I got up there, I connected with the keynote. I did pretty good, even though I lost 12 minutes and all the things. So I had like 2 glasses of wine. I woke up on Sunday morning with such a fucking headache. I was like, I don't want to drink anymore. But I'm so clear. My brain, last night, right before I was going to sleep, because of course I took a nap in the afternoon and then I go to bed at 10 and I'm like, okay, time to go to bed, Amanda.
Wide awake. I
Wide
know.
awake. I wonder why I'm tired in the afternoon. And I was like, from burnout to brilliance. And then all of a sudden, this whole visionary of a cover with a black charred bottom that like goes from the back of the book to the front side. That's like this pile of coal and these like diamonds up in the
Yes.
corner, and it's all about, from losing your passion to finding your purpose. And like I came up with all these different
My
things.
God,
I was like,
you're naming right there all of those things that you just, yeah, that is, yeah,
there's my
BBG
next
walking you through.
book.
Yes.
Right. So when you're asking me as I'm sitting here thinking to myself, maybe I should just start writing my book again. It's not going to be like the Chameleon Diaries too. No, it's going to be the second book.
Yeah. It's going to be probably the one that is really, that hits in a way that is different.
I hope.
Yeah.
Like I can see the cover already. It's embossed. It's a hardcover. It's a paper flip thing, black and white and red, gold.
No pressure. Second book. Go ahead, dive in.
But you know what? The way I've been journaling since I wrote my book, at the top of every journal, I've given it a chapter name. And so like I've organized it so I know what the fuck my book, so I can flip through and just look at the chapter names and be like, all right, I know what's going on here.
So you can pull them in. This page would go into this. Yes.
Yeah. And I was, where That's when I was doing my talk in Vegas, I was talking about my book and how it all came to play. And one of the stories that I was using was about how Reagan ended up buying the company. And I looked at the 100 people that were in the audience. I said, to be completely honest with you, I said, this book is actually really interesting. People tell me that it's a really quick read. I said, but the real story started after it got published. I said, that's why I'm standing in front of you today. That's where the rubber hit the road. And, that's the rising of the phoenix stuff that you're going to start seeing. And like, that's how I feel.
Do you think you could have gotten to where you are without that then? I mean, like this idea is interesting, again, in thinking about this, where that paths are closed, or doors are closed, or opportunities are closed. Like I've made decisions in my life, I am not going to become so many things. That maybe I had once thought would be open to me, or I might consider, or like this person that I was going to become. Like I've become this person, and this idea that you are where you are because of that book. Could you have gotten where you are without it? And if not, all of those things, I have no point in this rambling right now, but it just feels like such an important, it happened for you. The book happened for you. Everything leading to that happened for you. And it is going to serve you eventually. I think the hardest part for me, I think I will get to a place of feeling like my legacy is what I want it to be, but it is not knowable to me right now. And that is where I have to sit with that sort of discomfort of not being able to know.
It's very uncomfortable. And I think what maybe, again, I've got two stories. Hopefully I remember them. But what the feeling I just got is that your job right now is getting comfortable with not knowing.
Yeah, 100%.
That's all you have to do. There's nothing else you need to do right now except getting comfortable with not knowing. And that's one thing that I started to do. You asked me did I have to write the book in order to get to where it is that I am now? Or maybe not in so many words, but I had it set in my mind that I wasn't able to move forward until I published that book. Regardless of the size of the platform I was standing on, regardless of the advice that I was getting from BBG on, you need to do this first, you need to
Yeah.
do that
You got to
second.
be huge. You got it. Yeah.
The answer that I had was, no, I have to get these stories out and close the book on those before I have the ability to move forward. And for me, writing the book, it is it's my stories, but it was the healing and the cleansing process of getting it out on paper and telling people about it, or at least having people understand me on a more calculated and in a raw, honest way of who I am and why I am. And it's given me the ability to literally close that chapter of my life and move on, right? Without writing those stories, without literally putting them into black and white, they would have been lingering around. They would have just been hanging, unfinished, unanswered, unresolved. And
Yeah.
so they're still unfinished, unanswered, unresolved, but at least now they're more clear. And one of the things with the space and the grace that I mentioned, I don't know if it comes with age and you just don't give a fuck once you reach a certain point in your life. But I'm going to be on a panel. There's this women's summit. It's awesome. There's this group called She's Local, and they're national, but they do these local summits where the tickets are like $55, and they have 2 or 3 keynotes, and then they have like a dozen or half a dozen breakout sessions, and it's either an individual or a panel with a moderator. So I'm on a panel, and I was going to meet with the 2 women that I don't know
Mm-hmm.
now. I couldn't get dressed, right? I literally checked my schedule, my cycle. I'm like, nah, this shouldn't be happening today. So what's going on, right? So, and I just sat down. I'm like, apparently I need to listen to something, right? And I just sat down and going back to how I get influenced by things so easily. I had this feeling that I literally had to just sit down and listen until I understood what it was. It made me 10 minutes late for the meeting, but where it's take the information that you receive, Amanda, and push it right back out again. It is not meant for yours to hold on to. So just take whatever it is that you're getting and push it back out again. It doesn't matter if it's yours or if it's somebody else's, but if you find that there's a higher level of importance and that this information is worth sharing, don't think about it too much and just get it back out there. And so I look at it that way, where it's like, I want to get solid on my grounding, on my message, on my framework, on my keynotes, on my courses. However, I'm in the process of building in vast amounts of space within all of those that are quite literally just open containers available for what's going to happen right beforehand, what's happening next that I can add in at the right time. It's strange. Like, I talk to people from Toastmasters and they say, gosh, like coming up with speeches or like membership tips. And one of the women is like, I just talk about what's going on in my life right now. Granted, she's not on the speaker track, and I think to myself, if I just hold space for the unknown,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Something will come to it.
I don't know what's going to happen in here, right? You just sit and wait.
Yeah. But something will come. I
Never
believe.
used to be like that. I used to
Yeah.
be like, fill the box. Come on, let's go. We gotta go. We gotta go. Fill it up. Fill it up. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, right. Brimming. There's not enough space for anything else to come in. And crazy.
What was the message? Like, what was coming before meeting with these women? Like, what was happening? What ended up coming in and you being able to push out? Was it just this idea of like you just needed that time?
It was more, it has absolutely nothing to do with me. None of this has anything to do with you, Amanda. And I showed up to that meeting with my laptop and we were talking, and the two of them were like, and I listened more than I spoke.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, she had way too much caffeine and she knew it. And she said she'd had too much. It was so funny. I was like, she's like, I promise I won't be like this on the thing. And I'm like, that's totally okay if you are. But it, like, the biggest message that I had was, this is not about me. And that's why I say, like, my job, my position as this human vessel on this planet, in this moment, in this time of my life, is to take that information, those messages, those influences that I'm getting from others, and give them to the other people that may not have the ability
Yeah.
to stop and hear them, that
Yeah.
may not
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
the ability to go to those events and see those people. And I just got chills because I said it. Now it makes sense, right? Like, that's why I'm here. That will be my legacy. Like, she shared the raw, honest, vulnerable stuff. She shared everything she could that she learned from this person and that person and this person and that person. And she put it into her workshops. And then she met somebody on Friday night. And on Monday morning, she incorporated it into her speech. And,
Yes.
these types of things. And that's how I am looking at creating this new aspect of the legacy that I have. But there's already a legacy living of mine. You have little human beings, right? That are
Sure.
your legacy, and Kazingo kids, and like all of the business that you have, and your family and the relationships. Your legacy is already happening.
I know. I know. I'm like looking for the endpoint or like put a pin in it, but it is a bill. I mean, of course it is. It's like
It's
such hearing you say that, like obviously.
right, but we want to know, what our eulogy is going to sound like, and where's that statue of us going to be put,
Exactly.
right? And it's like,
No.
like, I love you, Kaya. It has nothing to do with you.
No, 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 it doesn't. No, it is such a, it's funny. It's to think of it as a living, breathing thing and not a static, right? Gosh, that, I love that. Your legacy is growing all the time. It is
All the
not,
time.
yeah, it's not something that just gets formed and then it is static.
Yeah. And it'll shrink. And here's one of the really, I don't know what your time frame. Are you good on time?
Yeah, I have you.
Okay.
I have you all kinds of time.
Um, I Here's one of the most unplanned, unassuming, beautiful things that has happened to me since I sold my company, since I've done the work of really digging into, like, who the fuck is Amanda?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I here? What's my message? What's my point? What's my purpose? What's my mission? All these things. I said I have a couple design clients. Two of them are my cousins, Wes and his dad. So my cousin Nancy, she passed. She was 70 something. She passed a year ago, and so her husband Bruce, my uncle, I call him my uncle, and his son Wes. I went to high school with Wes. We're all the same age. Bruce and Wes are they bought a condo and they're moving into the condo together. So they were like, Mandy, we need help. I'm like, no problem. So I'm helping them with that. And like a lot of time, and they're paying me for it, which has been awesome. And then while I'm helping them, I'm like, I want to go find an old antique cabinet that we can turn into the vanity in your powder room. So I go up to Maine, right? And I go to all these antique shops on Route 1 and 1A and all these things. And I find one. And I realize that I've got too much shit in my car. I can't take it home that day. So my other Uncle Bruce, there's two of them, he lives up in Maine. And so I was like, well, I got a whole day. I call him. I had seen him at like one of our family, if I call it Easter or something or something. I have never spent one-to-one time with this man in my
Yeah.
entire life. He was married to another one of my dad's cousins, and she
Uh-huh.
passed away years ago, but he's at all the family things. So I was like, hey, are you around for lunch? I have to go pick up this dresser for some of our other family members. So we had lunch. I've never had time for lunch. I've never had time to even talk to my parents about their closet. And I spent 4 hours on the phone with my dad one day designing their custom easy closet pull down bed thing just
Huh?
because it was a Monday and he called me at 2 o'clock. And next thing you know, it's 6 o'clock and I had the time. And I nursed Uncle Bruce's African violet back to life. I had it for like 6 months. And I gave it to him and I gave it to him at Easter and he sent me an email and it choked me up. He said, Mandy, I can't believe that you did this. He said, Joanne, who's my
Uh-huh.
cousin who passed years ago, he said, Joanne's violet, there's some flower buds on it. And
Oh.
it's like, I never had time for my family.
Yeah.
I never gave them any time. And
Yeah.
my family is my extended family because I'm not married and I don't have kids.
Yeah. And I
That's more
mean,
valuable than the dollar.
100%. Yeah. I mean, you got that, he got that, they have gotten this time with you. That is all a piece.
Yeah.
I recently have been telling a friend, she said something and I was like, oh my gosh, you could totally sell that. She had a t-shirt, little saying on a t-shirt. She has something called the Handy Dandy kit that I have wanted to make and sell. It's this thing that she's put together, all these little containers, and
Mm-hmm.
one is for Band-Aids and one has,
Oh,
the
I want
ointments and
one.
the creams. And yeah, it is a to-go and it's all clear bag. You can see everything. It's labeled.
Keep it in the
She
trunk of your car.
keeps it in her car. Yes. And you can have small ones. You could have really big ones. And I told her like that, Liz, let's put it together. We'll make it. We'll sell it. We'll put it on Etsy. This would go crazy. She's like, why are you constantly? You are always trying to sell something. Why are you like everything is like an idea to be built out.
But it
It's
is.
not just an idea to come and go. And I thought, well, yeah, I think
What's
that's
the
part of
point?
me. Yeah, exactly. I get excited by that stuff, I've had this realization that a lot of this for me, and I think one of the things that's been hardest about trying to do what I'm doing is that I'm doing it by myself. I like conversations like this, having a coach like we did with BBG, initially when I started Kazingo, and now again, it's starting to happen again where there's a group, a team of people that I get to work with. Thrive. I become more of myself when I am not doing it alone. And so having that, like finding a way to build that structure. And so when I have a good friend who's like, "Oh, I had this," says this crazy thing and I think, "Oh my gosh, you and I could work together to do that and it would be so much fun." I just want to jump on all of those opportunities.
It's so interesting you say that because that is this might come out wrong. I just don't know how to package
No,
it
go for it.
properly.
No offense.
A mothering, compassionate, empathetic, like you're doing everything for other people first before
Well,
you're taking care of yourself. But at the same time, it's like I get so much joy out of being able to share whatever it is that I have with other people, share my ideas, share the concept of like, let's make it bigger, right? Like share the idea of taking what it is that they have and making it bigger for them
yes,
or
yes.
making it better or fixing or I
Yeah,
totally get it.
yeah. I think we are yes and people.
Yes.
And I work with some people who are
What
no. And I gotta tell you, it drives me crazy.
are they near you?
No, well, yeah, somewhere around.
It's challenging.
It's so
I
hard.
the keynote, Craig Valentine, he said in his second talk, he said, do everything you possibly can to get away from the negative people.
Yeah,
Everything. He said, and if they're your family, just don't tell them.
yeah, that's
And
right.
I'm like, that my mother is the no but.
Yeah,
Although there are times where she surprises me and she's the yes and, but there's always like the, oh yeah, but no.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I over the last few years, there are people that I used to associate with that I don't talk to anymore, that I have cleared because they were the drinkers, they were the partiers, they were the ones that weren't being, honest with anything, right? And I was morphing into the people that I was around, and I
I
thought,
know.
we're so much better than that. Like we don't have to be on their level.
No.
So,
You
no,
know what else I found? It's some of it is I don't I ha, most of the people I know are also have kids and being maybe the kind of partying and that's a little harder perhaps, but
mhm.
I have found it and I've noticed it even with people where we have known each other long enough that we should be closer. We should know more about one another, but I do not get the sense that you are being real with me at
Yes,
all.
yeah,
And Tim and I both have been like, want to go over to their house for dinner. I don't really,
so
I feel like
don't.
we've known you for 5 years and I couldn't really tell you something about you. And
What's stopping you from not doing it anymore?
we don't,
Good,
no,
good.
we're just like with some of these people, like
Yeah,
having this awareness of like, you know what?
it's not worth it.
My time is pretty valuable and it's okay to honor that and yeah, and to take it back.
It's
Yeah.
and that's again, I think as we get older, we do get more particular on how we spend our time and who we spend it with. And somebody said to me the other day, they were like, and he's married and he and his wife get along really well. His kids are, I think they're just out of college. But he's like one of the biggest landscape guys around and he comes to Pilates all the time. And they started this new hot and heavy class. And he's in it all the time. I hadn't seen him for like a week because last week was a little messy.
Right. You had a rough one.
I had a
Yeah.
rough week. And so I saw him this morning and he's like, how are you? And I was like, I'm doing really good. And I just found it so interesting that once you start clearing out the space for spending time with people, it's like the good ones and the shitty ones will come into, right? But like I have found that he said to me one day, don't you get lonely? You spend all your time by yourself. I said, no, not all my time, And he said, but you don't have, like, what happens when you want to watch a movie? I was like, well, my dog's with me. He goes, and it's just this very different space. But Kaya, I'd rather be alone than be with people that I just simply can't tolerate, don't like, don't agree with, feel icky about. And I'll walk away. I walked away from so many people this weekend because I was like, and
Good for you.
it brings me back to eighth grade. Could have been seventh grade. I remember walking down the hall. Had to have been seventh grade because I wouldn't have been in that wing if it was in eighth grade. Walking down the hall, and apparently I walked just with my head tilted back just enough. And somebody was like, you always walk around like you're better than everybody else with your nose in the air. And
So
so that fucking comment was like, well, aren't I better than everybody else? But then I
yes, thank you
fucking
for noticing.
right. But I didn't have enough, like, I didn't have the support I needed
Of
around me
course
to
not. Yeah.
say, yeah, Amanda, you are better than everybody else. So I started shrinking,
Hmm.
shrinking until I turned 40 something years old. And here I am.
I know. God, I have two middle schoolers, and in fact, I know one of them, my youngest, she's in sixth grade. They go to a very small middle school,
Uh-huh.
and she has not had it. This was a really, really rough year. It was a difficult academic transition for her, there's just a lot more
From
expected of them. And I
fifth to
don't,
middle. Got it.
yeah.
Okay.
And I don't think that there, for some of the things that they have them do, they had multiple multi-month projects with some scaffolding, but not quite enough.
Yeah.
And they all came at the beginning of the year. And on top of that, she had some social, her closest one good friend cut her off and did all the like gross, shitty middle school girl things that, are stereotypes and tend to happen. And my
I don't
was
even
just,
know what they are anymore.
well, it's petty. It's like, oh, she's not cool anymore. I don't want to be your
That's shit. Yeah.
friend. Yeah, just bullshit.
I was on
Yeah,
the receiving end of that.
me too. Absolutely.
Sucks.
But the school is so small. There's one sixth grade class. There are,
Yeah.
5 girls in the class. It's just,
Oh
it was
yeah.
not great for her, but it's taken a long time and she has really struggled, and we're getting through it, and we're making it through. But, as part of this, I've had this realization that I was really well suited to having little kids. Like the physicality of having babies and the exhaustion, and that it's really like what is in front of you, and doing that caring and doing that day to day. The emotional and mental toll that having middle schoolers, teens, tweens has taken on me. And I find at work, I am the person that people come to, and they give me their emotions and their experiences, and I need to process it with them. And particularly my 2 girls, my 16-year-old and my 12-year-old, they do the same thing. And I love that they feel like they can do that for me, but it is exhausting. And I don't know that what I'm giving them back is useful.
The girls or the other people?
My girls,
Okay.
especially. People I work with, I'm able to listen, but it is coming at home. It's coming at work. And, it's just,
How do you,
exhausting.
it is exhausting, but how do you think that you can actually, so it's like one of the BBG questions in brand DNA. What do people naturally come to you to ask you for advice, right? And so there's that. You just gave me the answer. They come to you about tween concerns and how to deal with it and how to manage it. There's something about you that has given you this superpower that other people are like, Kaya knows.
Yeah. We'll tell her. We'll talk to her.
And I wonder again, it's how can you take this, even though it feels exhausting? How can you actually take it and protect yourself against absorbing their challenges and their issues and just really being able to stand on the other side of the glass? You can hear them, but they can't touch you. And you have the ability to reflect back and give them what it is that they're looking for, what they're needing, but you don't have to take it home with you. Like, is there a way that you can isolate yourself mentally and emotionally in a glass box? I'm such a visual person
I
lately.
know. No, but
Like,
it's such a good visual.
but if you see someone coming down the hall, just, they won't see it
Yeah,
because it's glass, right?
that's right.
You can see them coming down the hall. Just put your glass shield up.
But at my force field.
Totally. Yeah. Like put yourself in a bubble, right? Like they can hear you, they can see you, but they can't touch the soft, sensitive things. And you have the ability to be like, all right, I'm on right now,
Hmm.
just for a few minutes.
Yeah.
And that on, if you're like, all right, I'm going to turn myself on, right? And you give yourself that energy. And then when they're gone, you're like, that's done. Turn the lights off. You leave the room.
Yep.
The glass
And
box walls go down, and
yep.
and it doesn't feel so tiring, maybe.
Yeah. And I think I'm much more, it's much easier to do when it comes to work and to colleagues. With the kids, I think I'm beginning, and I just talked about it this morning with my therapist who I like her.
Yeah.
Frankly, maybe could use a new therapist,
Yeah.
but that is an aside. I talked about it with her this morning. I feel like with the girls, what ends up happening for me is this lingering sense. I think maybe because I feel like as a parent, it is expected, it is understood that your kids are your legacy. And I see one who is the oldest, who seems to have it all together, who frankly, my husband and I both are like, don't you want to stop reading, or do you want to just go hang out with friends, or like trying to push her less towards having it all together and having her schedule and being the oldest responsible, kind of. And then I see my two younger ones who are different kids. And I don't know, I think especially with my youngest, if what I am giving to her and it is actually helping and will, and there's still this lingering doubt
Mhm.
that she will find her way in the world. And what is my role and responsibility as a parent in helping her develop the tools that she needs and helping her develop the skills and finding what it is that lights her up. And I also realize that she's 12, right? And like there's so much time.
Right.
I still don't know all the time what lights me up entirely. So I get it. And yet I put this pressure on myself, and my husband, he just does not have these concerns. He's like, we have great kids. I'm not
He's a
concerned.
man.
He is a worrier, and this is not something he's worried about. And this is kind of where my head is
Yeah.
these days. And
Well, you're so you've got 16, 14, 12.
13, 16, 13, 12.
16, 12. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's so funny. I remember when my brother had his kids and my sister-in-law, like she and I are like oil and water.
Mm,
She doesn't fit into our family in that. She's just that different. Anyway, there were times where things were going on with their kids, and I'd be like, "Well, have you thought about this? Like, you don't have kids, you can't say anything." And I'm like, when I hear you talk about the concerns you have for your 12-year-old in sixth grade, and how is it your 16-year-old that's the one that's super happy and not,
yeah. She's the oldest. Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like, do you have siblings?
I do. Two younger brothers.
Okay, so okay, that's the difference
Yeah.
with boys. So you've got three girls. It's none of us are the same, and we all function differently. And I think understanding your legacy, you've got three totally different variations of who you once were.
I know.
And three different human beings, and they're showing up as Kaya number one, Kaya number two, Kaya number three, and there's like 30 versions of you out there.
I know.
And
Oh, and throw in a little bit of dad when he was,
yeah,
13.
exactly, and it's we all, if they're coming from the the family state that you have created with Tim, it's like they have a good support system around them. Some of the shit and this is stuff that I started doing EMDR therapy. So I
Huh?
started doing it a few years ago, and I literally just had my second session with her last week, and I'm like, all this shit came up. I'm like, oh my God, that's not even mine. Right. So, like, I wonder if your youngest is carrying around stuff that doesn't even belong to her. And there's just this inability with our 12-year-old maturity levels that there's not the possibility or the ability to process it right now. And it will come out in time. I mean, I grew up with my parents, my grandparents, and then, of course, my brother would chime in when he was old enough where they didn't know what to do with me
Really?
because I was so different. And according to my grandmother, I was out of control. Right. So that's the criticism and judgment that I grew up with. Imagine being, and I come from a good family, they're still married, all the things, but it's like, you don't know what to do with me. You don't know how to deal with me. Why am I something that needs to be dealt with? Why
Yeah.
can't you just love me unconditionally? And that's the one thing that I mean, I rebelled against all of it because I didn't feel the love ever. I do now, but I covered myself up with so much stuff for friggin' 40 something years
Yeah.
because my parents didn't try, or at least that's how it felt. Right. And, pat yourself on the back for knowing that you're there for your 12-year-old.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. Take the win, huh?
Right. And it just, again, sometimes silence, it's like, well, what happened in school today? I don't want to talk about it. Okay. Well, I'm here if you need me. And sometimes just being there, like my 18-year-old niece, she's a freshman at San Diego State. Our relationship is like this because I'm the cool aunt. I'm the only aunt, but I'm the cool aunt. But like I talk to her like she's a real person. And she called me when she was home for break at one point in time. She's like, "What are you doing on Sunday?" I was like, "I have a big project I'm working on right now." She's like, "Great. Can I come over and do my homework? My house is too loud." I said, "Yeah, but I'm not going to talk to you." She's like, "That's fine. I don't need you to talk to me." She came
That's so
over.
great.
I made her a cup of tea. She sat at the dining room table. I sat at my computer. And for like 2.5 hours, she
It's
sat
there
there.
together.
And it was like, it for me, it was awesome. She's like, "I just got more work done than I did the whole time I was in last semester." I'm like, "Hmm." But it's sometimes they just want you to be around, but be quiet. And then they'll get comfortable and eventually they may say something.
It comes out. Oh, it's so true. It comes out with mine. It comes out at 10:30 at night when the house is getting quiet
Yeah.
and we're all getting ready to go to sleep. Yeah, and they've had time to process and now they're ready. Yeah,
It's so the school year is coming to an end.
it is.
And then you guys are going to be in Maine for a
Yeah.
good portion of the summer.
Yeah.
Now, do they have friends up in Maine?
No, cousins.
Cousins. Okay.
My brother lives there and
Same
he and
age
his
or
wife and 3 kids. No, they're younger.
they're
Yeah.
okay.
Their next oldest is not, she just turned 9, so a
Okay.
little bit
It's a big
younger,
gap.
9 down to 3,
Yeah.
but they really enjoy them. So we'll see them as much as we can.
Yeah.
My parents live near Sebago Lake,
Yep.
obviously Standish, so they'll,
Yep.
they have a boat. We'll go out on the boat.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sebago's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Cornish, when you come, if I'm up to it, we can
Yep.
go to Cornish and go antiquing.
I would
Have you ever
love that.
been to Cornish for antiquing?
I have not been to Cornish for antiquing,
It's
but
good.
I'm literally putting the month of June. Your name is going to be all over the calendar.
Great. We'll be in touch.
And when
I,
is Tim going away? The last 2 weeks in June?
yeah, the 15th through the 30th.
So that's when I'll come up. Not that I don't want to meet Tim, but
No,
just to,
I get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you still part of BBG? Are you still,
No, I ended that.
you did?
March was my last.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were in it for 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we joined at the same time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah. And I didn't drop down a membership. I just for now I've, that money we're putting back into Kazingo. It was part of that and we can do some product development now and it was extremely helpful. And I've downloaded all the workbooks and I've got all the files. But it was time.
Yeah.
It felt like it was time.
It's interesting because I put some serious thought into it and I'm like, I don't see how this is going to work, da da da. And then I realized like every time I would take the 2-day or the 1-day virtual courses,
Mm-hmm.
I would never finish them.
Yeah.
And so now I went through and I signed myself up, I think through November. I'm doing one every month. And when I just did the brand DNA, I went all the way back to the beginning
Mm-hmm.
to do my brand DNA for my new avatar because it's
Yep.
not the same person I wrote the book for.
Yep.
And it's even evolved. Like I've got 3 different types of avatars, but the avatar that I have focused on the most is the corporate person that I want to go in and start doing the talks with and work with them to kind of get themselves aligned and all those things. It was the first one that I didn't cry through because I actually knew what I was doing and I was like I felt more empowered partly because I'm like, all right, before I was pushing myself into and through a lot of those things because I was on my schedule. Now it's like, all right, I'm not pushing, but now I understand the whole
That's
thing.
right.
And so, like, I'm going to do CapCon in a couple weeks. I'm psyched about that. I have to figure out if it's going to be for a course or for this new,
Yeah.
book.
Right. But you can see I think seeing that, like you said, that whole arc, like I'm doing this because at the end it leads to this and it walks me through these stages. It's really useful to see. And knowing that you can go back through that again is super helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really great. Yeah.
So we'll figure it out. And I have this love-hate relationship with social media. So
I know.
I think I actually need to bite the bullet and just hire somebody to fucking take it over and just be like, here's a shit ton of content. I'll
Yes.
make all the videos. You figure out how to get the little words up there and you write the thing and
Yeah.
hope it's
You're like, it's not nap time right now.
God.
I love chatting with you.
I love
Thank you for making time.
Absolutely. And I've missed you and I'm so excited I get to see you soon because
Yes.
I think you were in like yeah, because I cried, right? Like I think you were in the first 2-day thing or whatever that we did together, and it's that's just it, Kaya. It's finding the right people. And
Abs-
I'm thrilled for whatever the journey is that you are going to be on and the
yeah.
direction that you're heading in, and when your podcast comes out, because you'll be able to take it apart and put it back together. And
Yeah. Same. We'll see what comes of it.
yeah,
But I will absolutely keep you posted.
yeah,
No
yeah,
doubt.
yeah. And I'll see you at the end of June. Thank you so much. And if I don't talk to you beforehand, I wish you the best of luck with your surgery.
Thanks. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all the things.
Okay. All right. Big hug.
Big hug.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right. Take care, Kaya.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for hanging out with me on The Weekly Parent. If something you heard today made you think, laugh, or feel just a little more human, don't be shy. Subscribe, text it to your BFF or group chat, or leave us a review. Remember, you'll find free tools, downloads, and whatever else I've cooked up this week in the show notes. Check those out. Parenting is messy. Let's not do it alone. See you next time.